here once again from shortmetina.com with my daily recap. Today's Wednesday. So happy Wednesday, happy hum day. Thank you so much for being here. Before we jump in to a recap of the overall markets, I want to ask you to do me a solid, please. If you can thumbs up and comment in the comment section, that would be grateful and quite helpful to me in terms of getting the video out to other traders just like yourself. I know there's been sort of a semi fall off in levels of engagement, and that perhaps has some to do with me. I myself am not engaging in terms of comments. I try to get to them here or there, but between the messages that I get on Twitter, the messages that I get in my email, the messages that I get on YouTube, the messages that I deal with my premium members, like, it gets a bit overwhelming, and I 100% will at some point get to replying, but bear with me with that. Anyway, so what are we looking at now? IWM, simple. I usually have a really longer term horizon. Right now, we're just seeing sort of candles for the last 2 months or so, and that's fine. So let's just focus in on that. We're up about 1% on a day, and again, it's a daily chart. We closed at 119.17. And so the level that I'm paying attention to, as I've stated before, is 120. I think if we can hold that, right? If we can hold that, and we're slightly down, if we can actually hold that, I can see us running to around 140, filling this gap here. But I want to call attention to something rather interesting, right? Tomorrow's April 23rd. But if we go back to around April 9th, right? So let's say majority of the month of April, the IWM has actually been trading within a very tight range, in my opinion. The upper end of that range is around 124, and the lower end clocks in somewhere around 114. So that's like about a 9 to 10 point spread or range, which in my opinion is not very wide. So it almost seems as though the IWM is winding up, like those wind up toys back in the day. It has like that the little not button, but the little winding thing towards the back, and then you just kind of wind it up till you can't go anymore, and then it just sort of like moves. That's what it looks like is happening with the IWM. Tight range is almost like it's winding up to explode, either to the upside or to the downside. And so for me, if it's going to be towards the upside, then that 120 level has to hold. Obviously, we want to take up the most recent high of 124.61. If it's going to explode to the downside, then it's gonna, like 120, it's gonna prove very difficult. It's gonna crater. And granted, we're under that. We closed at 119.17, but although we're under 120, it's not that significant for me to turn completely bearish at this point. Like, you can still get that pop or that next leg down, right? Hope that makes sense. I know we're under 120, but that doesn't mean, in my opinion, that the market is just going to crater right now. It has to really start to drift towards that lower end of this tight range. So right now, it seems like the market is still somewhat indecisive in terms of what it wants to do, winding up, hence that tight range. And we're just going to be, we're just going to watch. And that's kind of what we're doing in the premium member community. Obviously, the first quarter was like a catastrophe for a lot of folks. We actually made out relatively well compared to the market at one point being down over 35%. The IWM in particular, I think in the height of it all, it was down about 40%. We were down nowhere near that, depending on, we were actually, we fared very well in the first quarter. Second quarter, again, we're being a lot more cautious in terms of the trades that we enter, the holding period, allocation, etc. And again, I think we're doing relatively well. I've shared some of those trades with you. I'm not going to go over them again. I've done them, I want to say, the last few days. I spoke about Tesla, Walmart, which I think it's still a really good long-term play. I talked about CRC, which is a relatively cheap penny stock. That was a speculative play that gave us a decent amount in a short period of time. And also Groupon. We're still actually holding Groupon, and I like it. Let's see, how did Groupon do today? All right, so here's Groupon. So we're done with IWM, obviously. So here's Groupon. It's a daily chart dating back to February. So it closed at 102. The high of today clocked in at 103. Volume was okay, and I said if we can get into that dollar range, I think the next market rally this can really run. And when I say run, I'm talking about going to 150, potentially even $2. Right now we're up about from entry. I think we're probably up somewhere like 20 to 25% on this trade, maybe even 30%. But I still think that there is more to go with Groupon, up about 10% on the day. If it was any other stock, 10% would have been probably enough to kind of ring the cash register. But with Groupon, I still think with a really strong rally, this can run to potentially two, maybe even $3. What else do I have for you? All right, so let's follow up and end it with ticker SD. I talked about this yesterday. Daily chart is off about 8% on the day. So yesterday the stock was actually up north of 70%. So very, very strong move on the day. Closed relatively close to session high. Session high was at 188. We closed at 183. I'm talking about yesterday. So today, however, we opened up slightly below yesterday's close, which is usually an indicator that there's going to be a sell-off, which happened. Stock sold off, went as low as 150. So we sold off probably to the tune of 15 to 20%, something like that. And then you can see here, Bull stepped in, brought the stock back up to close at 168. I don't know what's going on in after hours. Today, it's high clocked in at 179. So that's actually pretty decent that it didn't completely collapse today. Granted, it's off about 8%, but considering it was up 70% yesterday, that's not a complete collapse in my opinion. So if this can kind of continue heading into tomorrow, and like I indicated before, if it can surpass yesterday's high of 188, I can definitely see this getting to around that 230 to 250 mark. So still potential upside. Keep your eye on yesterday's high and obviously today's high, but more importantly yesterday's high. If it can get above that 188 and hold with decent volume, you're probably looking at a stock that's going to trade somewhere in the twos. All right, hope that makes sense. We're going to cap it there. Tina here, once again from shortmetina.com. If you enjoyed any portion of that video, do three things for me. One, comment in the comment section. Thumbs up. Two, I do videos every single day. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel at ShortMeTina. And three, right now we're hosting a free 14-day trading course detailing a lot of the things that I've learned trading the stock market for the last 20 or so years. So if you're interested in that, definitely head on over to our website, shortmetina.com. Sign up, become a member. Thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for the support. Enjoy your Wednesday, be safe, and I'll talk to you back here tomorrow.